What's up, everybody? We are back coming at you with 6 NCAA basketball picks for Sunday, February 25th. We're break even on Saturday, going 3-3, but we closed the day out winning 3 in a row, so let's keep that run going as we close out the weekend. We are posting daily NCAA basketball videos, so hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss our daily uploads. These picks are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com, where you can get all of our best picks and predictions on every major sport. While you are here, don't forget to comment below with any questions, opinions, or bets on today's college basketball slate. I read and respond to every single comment. Now let's dive into our first game of the day, number 15 Creighton at St. John's. Creighton comes into this one fresh off a huge win over number 1 UConn. The Blue Jays have been playing great. They've won 4 straight. They're killing it right now. Have to feel very good about where they're headed. This team is very solid on the boards and defensively. They're only allowing 69.1 points per game. That's pretty nice. This team has even looked good on the road, which hasn't always been a strength of Creighton. Early in the season, they beat St. John's. It was a close one though. It was 66-65. It was a very, very weird game where Creighton got all the calls. They looked terrible on both ends. They struggled shooting the ball. They shot only 36% in the field, which is not normal for this team, and they were even on the boards, which is also something that's not super normal for Creighton to have happen. St. John's just got the win over Georgetown their last time out, but only won by 5 points. That's the first game since Rick Pitino basically told all of his players that they suck and complained about the entire program being garbage. It seems like a pretty weird and aggressive tactic to employ when you're trying to get your team to play better, but they did get the win, so maybe I can't argue with the results, although we're not really ready to, light the beacons and get really excited about a 5-point win at Georgetown. I can't imagine his players being really motivated by that kind of attitude. How will they feel coming to this game going against an elite opponent? I don't think they're going to feel too great, and I don't think that's really going to matter too much. Creighton is really good, and we are taking Creighton -2 playing on the road. Creighton is actually 7-3 against the spread on the road, so that's a very good number. The Blue Jays are a lot better at home than they are on the road, and they are in something of a letdown spot, but they're by far the better team and should have a good time against the St. John's squad that cannot possibly be motivated by their coach trash-talking them in press conferences. Next up, we've got SMU heading to South Florida. SMU just lost by 10 points going against FAU, but are in 4th place in the American, a very interesting conference that could end up with a very respectable number of tournament bids. The Mustangs have very strong guard play and are good on the boards. This squad is also capable of solid defensive efforts, and they manhandled Memphis 6 days ago, absolutely destroying them in that one. Their last time out at FAU, they shot under 40% from the field, which makes me a little worried about them playing on the road again, and they're going against a very good defense. South Florida is in 1st place in the American with a 2-game cushion over FAU and Charlotte. The Bulls took care of business against USTA their last time out, but it felt like they were looking ahead to this game and in a letdown spot coming off a win over FAU. They did manage to get the win, but it was a close one. This team is good defensively and on the boards, and their balanced offense is capable of shooting the lights out from deep like they did against FAU, where they went 9 of 19 from 3-point range. We're going to take South Florida +1.5 at home in this one, where they are 11-3-1 against the spread this season. That's a pretty crazy number. The spread feels like a trap, as them getting points at home is pretty wild, but can we possibly pass up on this value? Not me. Maybe some smarter better out there can tell you something where you should swerve on this game, but we're taking South Florida +1.5 in this one. Next up, we've got Wright State headed to Oakland. Wright State has now won 2 in a row, taking down RMU and Detroit Mercy, but have a lot of work to do if they want to be a threat to any of the better teams in the horizon. Trey Calvin is a monster. He's putting up 20 points and 4 assists per game, but having one focal point of your offense is not always a winning recipe, especially when you're going against elite opponents. The Raiders struggle rebounding the ball, and their defense is straight up terrible. 2 weeks ago against Oakland, we saw Wright State get dominated on the boards and only shot 33% from the field despite playing this game at home. Oakland has shown they are clearly the best team in the horizon. They've got a big cushion over Green Bay and coming to this game winners of 4 straight, a streak which started with a 14-point beatdown at Wright State. This team is good on the boards and defensively. They have held opponents to an average of only 56 points per game over the last 4. Think about that, guys. Holding opponents to 56 per game. Trey Townsend is a monster, and this team is going to be focused as this is their only decent opponent left on their conference schedule. We're taking Oakland -4.5 playing at home in this one. The Golden Grizzlies are very, very good at home, and I expect them to take care of business as they continue to show they're the better team in this matchup and the best team in their conference. Next up, we've got UAB heading to Tulane. UAB just got blown out at home against Rice in one of their worst performances of the season. The Blazers are a good team both on the boards and offensively, and while their defense tends to play down to the level of their competition, they better figure that out in a hurry because they have work to do now and in the conference tournament. This team doesn't rely on any one star for their offensive production and should be looking for a game like their win over FAU, where they had 6 different players score in double figures. Tulane has now dropped 3 in a row, and losing in a blowout at East Carolina feels like the last nail in this team's coffin. The Green Wave have a big-time scorer in Kevin Cross, but he hasn't been enough to carry the squad, especially against better competition. Playing no defense and having very weak rebounding has caught up with this squad in a very big way. We're going to take UAB +3 on the road in a big bounce-back spot, as I expect them to play well despite going against a talented offensive squad. The Blazers need this win to right the ship, and I believe they will get it on the road here, where they've been a solid 5-4 against the spread. UAB can play down to the level of their competition at times, but I don't think that happens in this one. I think we see them play up and play well. Next up, we've got one of the bigger games on this slate. We see Minnesota heading to Nebraska. Minnesota is fresh off another home win and cover, taking down Ohio State. Thank you, Minnesota, for that one. This squad is looking insanely good when playing at home, and when they go on the road, they're clearly a step or so behind some of the better teams in the conference. This squad plays great defense, but their rebounding is a work in progress at times, and while Dawson Garcia is a solid scorer, their offensive production can lag behind them in the upper parts of the Big Ten. This squad is good, but they're just not elite. Nebraska has been on a similar track to Minnesota, as they continue to be absolutely dominant playing at home, but they bucked that trend their last time out, getting a solid 15-point blowout win at Indiana. This team can really fill it up and have some solid offensive explosions at home where they can really turn some heads. Rebounding and defense are good enough to get the job done for the Cornhuskers, and their home court advantage is almost unmatched in college basketball right now. We're going to take Nebraska -6.5 at home, where they are a staggering 13-4 against the spread this season. This is a bit of a revenge spot, as they lost to Minnesota at Minnesota earlier in the season, but right now I see them as a better squad, and I think they win by a comfortable margin in this one. The last game we're going to look at today is Xavier at Marquette. Xavier is playing through a tough stretch of their schedule right now, and their 3-game losing streak can't come as a huge surprise. This team has been in the bottom third of the Big East basically all season long, and while they aren't necessarily a bad team, their defense hasn't been good enough to get them wins against the best squads in the conference. Quincy Oliveri is a monster, and this offense can usually find a way to put up some points, just not enough to outscore elite opponents, with their defense not really keeping pace. Marquette bounced back from a very bad showing at UConn to blow out DePaul, but still have something to prove this season. Unfortunately, that will have to wait a couple of games until they travel to Creighton. The Golden Eagles are an elite offensive squad, and while their rebounding can be problematic, their defense can make up for most of those shortcomings. Tyler Kolek is a monster, averaging 15 points and almost 8 assists per game, and this team has elite talent up and down this entire roster. We're going to take Marquette -10 in this one, as they continue to show out against weak opponents. The Golden Eagles are 10-4 against the spread when playing at home, and without any sort of look-ahead spot, I think they come out and dominate an Xavier squad that struggles on defense so much that the 10 points doesn't scare me off. That's all of our games for today. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to comment below with any questions or comments about these picks or today's slate, and click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, where you can see all of our top plays. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you're enjoying these videos. We'll see you guys tomorrow for more NCAA basketball action.